This is the battle of the Buckeyes coming up. The two quarterbacks who could never possibly be any good because they both attended Ohio State. Joe Burrow, obviously an awful quarterback, versus CJ Stroud, obviously an awful quarterback. Why? Because they both went to Ohio State. Colin Cowherd's contention would be that Ohio State ruins quarterbacks because they have so much talent and they're so much naturally better than everybody else. So I guess Joe Burrow going off to play for LSU, where they didn't have any wide receivers or any good offensive linemen or any players on defense. Yeah, that's what saved Joe Burrow. On Bobby Slowick's reaction when CJ got that pitch from Devin Singletary. CJ Stroud hands off to Devin Singletary. There's penetration into the backfield. Devin Singletary runs off to the left. CJ Stroud runs off to the left as well. Devin Singletary starts to get tackled, and he pitches the ball to CJ Stroud. He runs for a first down, like 10-plus yards. It was phenomenal. And there was immediate discussion as to whether it was a called play or a designed play or if it was just improv. And Devin Singletary let the cat out of the bag before this press conference that it was indeed improvisation. So John asked about how Bobby Slowick felt about that classic no, yes type of play.
It was a pin pull play, and he made a cut, and I just kind of open and was telling him. I didn't tell him to I was telling him, come on, either pitch it to me or I'm gonna block for you. And the corner was either gonna take me or him. So he took him and he just threw it. So it was just a football play. That's me and football players, so it was a cool play.
This was yet another example of all of the things that people wondered and worried about with CJ Stroud. Like, how athletic is he? Can he improvise? Like, this was improvisation to the max. And the really impressive thing about it was he kept the proper relationship, like the proper spacing just behind Devin Singletary, just far enough away that Singletary would be able to pitch it. I'm okay with this in the future. I would hope they don't do this into traffic. This is on the matchup with Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow.
Yes, Joe's somebody I respect a lot. I was a big fan of his, especially when he was at LSU. And then, of course, he was at Ohio State, so we got that kind of similarity. And we met each other over the summer, and we got to talk about some things that we kind of had some similarities with, being Buckeyes and stuff like that. And he had a lot of great advice for me, and that I'm still using to this day. So somebody I look up to, and really happy that he's getting it rolling, and he's having a great season so far. Definitely think that he's an MVP of this league. He's a top 5 player every year. Has shown that ever since his second year. Really had a really good rookie year as well, but sadly got hurt. But a lot of things to learn from that guy. He's a hell of a leader, and a really good person.
One thing I like about CJ is he does give a little bit of history, a lot, or a little bit of analysis. Like when Vanessa Richardson was talking to him about the Rockets at the game last night, he actually, dropped some information about the Rockets. Like he pays attention. So even just with Joe Burrow getting injured, there are plenty of quarterbacks that come into the league not having paid that much attention to the NFL. The one similarity that really sticks out with Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud, I think, is that they really relied on Joe Burrow's arm his rookie year, and they weren't necessarily tearing it up with wins and losses. Like, it was obvious that the quarterback was playing better than the rest of the team. And it's hard when you're a rookie to do really, really well without a supporting cast. The fact that CJ's doing this without any kind of support from the rushing attack, that's really the most impressive thing. Next question is on if he's ever gotten a chance to talk with Lebron James. The Rockets were playing the Lakers last night. LeBron James plays for the Lakers. He asked basically if you see that LeBron's ability to strive for greatness, do you see that in yourself as well?
Too, he's been doing it for so long. Ever since I've been a kid, I don't want to make him feel old, but man, he's been doing it a long time. And that's just testament to not only who he is, but the people he's surrounded around himself. And for me, I look up to him not only on the court and his work ethic there, but off the court, the businessman he is, the leader he is. He takes a stand for things publicly, and somebody that I think not only is a black athlete I can look up to him, but just as an athlete in general. He stands for so many things, so it's nothing for respect for him. And I haven't got to meet him yet. I mean, I know he is an Ohio State fan, and I know he's been supporting me with that, and I appreciate him for that. And it doesn't go unnoticed, and I really like it's a blessing. It's a dream come true because I mean I know like other athletes can admit to this is like. Of course, you want to have respect from your opponents and like guys, but you really want respect from guys in other sports. Like basketball players want to be football players, and football players want to be basketball players, and we all want to play baseball. Like, so we all got respect for each other. So it's cool to get some love from the basketball guys and the guys in the NBA. So it's a blessing.
I wonder. I don't know if what he meant by that was like that they actually want to be baseball players, because I know like there are a lot of football players who just aren't baseball fans. So I don't know if he meant like from the physical pounding standpoint of that. Baseball players obviously get the least physical abuse, like, so if that were the correct, he left hockey out there. But okay, if LeBron James was a tight end, would he throw him a pass?
I think he would be pretty good, but I don't know if he'd be like super dominant like he would be like them hits stack up. But people are physical with him, and he always gets up and really tough. So I would like to see him like I know a couple years ago he was thinking about playing for the Browns or something crazy or the Cowboys. I thought that would be cool, but I think going from football to basketball would be a lot easier than basketball going to football. But I mean I've had some heated debates with some guys over the summer, some NBA cats, and they feel otherwise. So
I have thoughts about this. This is the thing, and I had a defensive line coach, Bob Karmelowitz, once that first pointed this out, which is that basketball players, they don't sprint full speed all that often. Even if you're running, get back on defense or run, you might, if you're making a defensive play, you're trying to cut somebody off or something, you're usually not sprinting all out all that often. And, obviously when you're on offense, you've got the ball in your hands. If you're running to get in position, it's still relatively short. So it's hard to envision guys like running full stride, stretched out, making a cut and everything. And then you train that way, especially because I've seen LeBron do some of the drills, like the combine type drills. And it's honestly, I was a little bit underwhelmed by it. But like that goes to show you train for that for years and years and years. So I like that. I like that CJ was a little bit skeptical and didn't just, bow to the mystique of LeBron and say that he would have been awesome. Now, LeBron is a defensive end. I feel like that actually would be where it would be at. LeBron is a defensive end. This will be on the response he received about speaking publicly on prison reform on Sunday. What are you trying to accomplish with it, with speaking out with prison reform? Just for those of you that might not know, or if anybody from the Bengals is listening, I'm guessing you guys know, but because of the Ohio State thing, CJ's father is in prison serving a 30-plus year sentence. Happened when CJ was about 13 years old or so.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of feedback from it. A lot of people were saying that they're proud of me of just kind of being so vulnerable with something that's personally in my life. And for me, I just wanted to shine light not only on my dad's situation, but on the situation of just really publicly of what's going on in our criminal justice system. And I've even learned more through working with Reform and their nonprofit and things like that. Like I've gotten to have a couple of dinners and meetings with those guys. Like I got to talk to Michael Rubin, who's a really good friend of mine and a leader in our culture as well and in the world. And he was really proud of me for even saying something because and I told him, like, man, it's easy to kind of be vocal about stuff when you have other guys doing the same thing, So it's not just me out here trying to push the envelope. And for me, I know I always wanted to shine light on that, but my dad actually asked me not to. He always wanted just me to focus on ball. And for me, I mean, I honestly did it just to shine light on it, and not just for his situation, but for the whole thing. And I think, like I said on Sunday, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, like, you make a mistake and it's criminal, whatever the case may be. Yeah, you should do whatever you have to do to pay it back to whatever that means. You know what I mean? Like whatever crime you commit, like you have to reap the consequences for that. But same time, like these are still people, and we do this for people. We send money out to other countries and stuff like that, and Lord knows what they're doing over there with the money. I'm not super political and everything, but I respect all walks of life. I love for everybody, and that's what the Lord asks us to do. So for me, I just try to do my best and shine light on things that not only personally affect me, but affect people, and I can see with my own eyes. I can feel that, so.
Okay, a few things about that. So for those of you who didn't hear the original comments, he talked about basically changing conditions within prisons. He was very, I think it was really good and conscientious of him to kind of separate it from sentencing reform or whether guys should be in prison or not. Like that's a whole nother topic surrounding there. Like he's just talking about conditions within the prisons. Obviously his dad is there. I did like that, and obviously part of this is his personal business. I did worry for him in some respects about, just exactly what the dynamic there was with his father. And the fact that he said, his father specifically didn't want him doing that. Like, it just makes me feel better about that dynamic. And again, like that's his personal business. I I like that he knows when to pull himself back when he started to get into the foreign aid side of things again and trying to stay focused. You could get a little bit more onto the political talk side of thing when you start talking about the whataboutism. So he pulled back from the whataboutism and didn't make it about foreign aid. This is on if there's anybody who's reached out to him since the win on Sunday that surprised him.
Big game on Sunday. I was wondering, were there any messages that stood out or anyone that surprised you that reached out to you since then?
I'm not really
Is there anybody that's reached out that has surprised you?
on social media during the season. I went on just to tell people thank you, and I really didn't look at anything new. So I don't really know. I just told family and friends thank you. I appreciate watching the game and just stuff like that. But maybe after the year I'll see. I'm not sure. But I don't know. I feel like maybe it goes both ways. I get a lot of love and then I get the other side. So I don't try to ride the wave. I just try to stay even keel and not even look at certain things. But for those who have reached out, I appreciate it. I know Warren Moon did. Somebody told me that, and I really appreciate that. I watched him growing up my whole life, so just his highlights and things like that. And it's a blessing to have a legend tune in and give you your flowers for a pretty cool day. But just I know he would probably tell me, man, I'm on to the next, and I want to go do it again. So it's going to be hard. This Bengals team is really solid, so got to bring my A game, but it's been cool.
Okay, I'm so happy to hear him say he's not on social media much. That bears out. He's never been a guy I don't think he's ever been very active even in the off season. You go to his Instagram because it's a nice place to steal pictures that aren't copyright protected. And he's not on it much. So think about that. Contrast that with Baker Mayfield, who was a guy that from the very beginning, was all about almost consciously putting a chip on his shoulder. I think what guys realize over time is, man, you got to have an appropriate level of chip on your shoulder. Some guys can handle it. Some guys can't. I mean, I did podcast episodes about CJ and the chip on his shoulder, right? You've got to have the appropriate level. And once you start hearing voices on social media, your brain does not differentiate between, whether it's a credible source, whether it's an idiot, whatever it is. It's like negativity that permeates your brain, and he doesn't need it. So I like that he doesn't hear the criticism or anything else. Okay, so he was asked on his instinctiveness as a quarterback and where he thinks he got that trait from.
Yeah, I don't know. I can go all the way back to being really, really young. And you guys, my youth coach is around, and you guys have seen a couple of my coaches come to the games. He'll probably be here soon, but he'll tell y'all since I've been young, I've always had a little nuance and idea. Just trying to be the coach on the field. And I don't try to step on anybody's toes. I know Bobby does a great job with that, but he actually, it seems like he appreciates it when I have some feedback, helps him out. And I always kind of can feel the sense of the game. And I don't ever try to do too much with it. But I know I've been playing football for a pretty long time. And even though I'm a rookie and I'm still young in this league, I can kind of feel the game out a little bit and try to get a little twist to something or do something to make a play. But at the same time, I remember I think I was talking to a veteran quarterback in the off season, and he was like, "Man, don't get bored with the boring stuff," and that stuck out to me. So just I love making cool plays on the sideline, I love taking the check down and just moving it and going 1st and 10 to 2nd and 6. That's huge for Bobby and play calling and stuff like that. So I try to play both ways, but at the same time, and I love playing with my instincts as well. And it's been a blessing to have that God-given gift to kind of fill the game out.
Man, I love that. I've never heard that phrase before. Don't get bored with the basic things. I'm guessing of the quarterbacks he talked to in the offseason, Tom Brady is the one most likely to have said that, because Brady, I've heard a few times talk about how, like, he realized as he went along in the league, he realized it's more about the mistakes you don't make than the great plays you do make. I think his style of play was one that was really, really good at doing the boring things, precision over the middle on shorter routes, those types of things. So, yeah, like that's one of those things that's awesome advice, but really, really hard to follow. There's a tendency in humans to just try to make it more complex than it needs to be. I was talking with Sean off air about this. It's with offensive coordinators. Offensive coordinators, it is infuriating. Defensive coordinators do it too. Like, something will be working really, really well, and they can't help themselves. They think like, well, so we got to tweak it, or we got to do it a little bit differently, or we'll use this to set up something else. Like, meanwhile, you're bludgeoning another team like 5 and 10 yards at a shot, running the exact same 2 plays, and they just feel like they have to change it up. When men do it sexually, it's when a woman says, yes, do it exactly like that. Keep doing that. And this is what we think, because we tinker. We're like, oh, if she likes this, wait until she sees this. And then the woman is like, what the fucking idiot. So that's that's how we're wired. And you have to learn that sometimes just like staying the course simply and steadily, with a steady rhythm at just the right pressure, it will work eventually. And I think CJ understands that, ladies. So is going back to Ohio special for you?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I know it'll be a couple Ohio State fans there maybe, but I know they'll probably be booing me that day. So it is what it is.
No.
And I'm excited to go back to Ohio and play. Wish it was a little colder. But nah, I'm happy it's not cold. But nah, yeah, for sure, I'm excited. All right, man, y'all be blessed.
Okay.